Hi, I'm Lucie Ellis, Executive Editor of In Vivo, part of the Pharma Intelligence Group, and I'm here in Vienna at Bio-Europe Spring, and I'm joined by Tim Dyer, the CEO of Addex Therapeutics, a company based in Geneva that's working in the Parkinson's disease space. So thanks for joining me, Tim. So perhaps you could start with explaining a bit more about the lead candidate and the disease area that you're in and the indication that you're addressing.
Yeah. So dipraglurant is a molecule that was discovered in-house through a conventional high-throughput screening, and Addex has developed itself all the way through the proof of concept. We are now teeing it up to go into a phase 3. It's being developed in Parkinson's disease, as you pointed out. However, we're focused on a particular symptom of Parkinson's, which is dyskinesia associated with the disease. So dyskinesias are a facet of the disease that develops after 5 to 10 years of being on L-dopa.
And how are you differentiating the company in that space? Obviously there was a fairly recent approval actually in that area as well, so how are you already looking at differentiating?
Yeah, well that's actually quite nice. In the US we have a precedented regulatory path now forward, so it's very clear how we need to develop dipraglurant in PD-LID. The differentiation is really going to be on safety because the molecule that has just been approved, Gocovri, it's efficacious. However, it's a reformulation of an antiviral called amantadine, and it's got some, I would say, suboptimal safety tolerability, whereas Addex dipraglurant is absolutely selective for the mGluR5 receptor and doesn't show the same safety and tolerability issues.
What's the next clinical milestone then for that lead candidate?
So the next clinical milestone is we will start the first registration, pivotal registration study. That'll start at the end of the year, and we are expecting to read out mid-2021.
Great. And obviously Parkinson's falls into this broad CNS space, which we're seeing ups and downs of interest and investment within that area. There's obviously a lot of risks associated with some CNS diseases. So what's your view on that space and the interest that you're having as a company, the investment that you see as a company?
Well, a significant unmet medical need. You know, we're making a lot of progress as an industry to understand the underlying biology. There's now increasing investor interest. So I see it as a very interesting moment and time to be in the CNS space. Addex has a platform around allosteric modulation, which is particularly suited to a number of targets and untractable targets in the CNS space. And we are going after small molecules, and small molecules are very well suited to cross the blood-brain barrier, which is also one of the challenges. So I see it as a very positive area to be in, especially for us and the time at the moment.
So you're at Bio-Europe Spring. What's the partnering strategy that you're looking for with that product and across the pipeline as well?
So Addex has basically, as I said, has discovered all its molecules in-house. We've screened them. We're clearly doing some prioritization around different programs, and we're advancing every program to its next value inflection point. Now, when it comes to partnering strategies, we're very open. We discuss in parallel with anybody who will listen to us. And if people would like to join and help us develop some of our programs, then we're certainly open to discuss them. We're not being particularly sophisticated about which programs we want to partner at which moment in time. We're
remaining flexible.
Remaining flexible, absolutely.
You do have a partnership with In Vivo. Recently some news around the candidate involved in that deal. So what happens there?
So that was a deal that was done at the beginning of 2018. It encompassed the whole of the GABA-B positive allosteric modulator space, and there was an identified candidate which still needed to go through some I'd say late stage entry into man enabling tox studies. Unfortunately during those studies we identified some alerts. Also the patent life was quite short on that lead asset, and also part of the deal we had a big research effort around finding backups, and we'd made a lot of progress in developing backups and identifying new chemistry. So in balance, when you looked at the patent life, the alert we saw, the complexity that alert was going to introduce into the development in phase 1, it made perfect sense for In Vivo to switch to the backups. And in fact, the NPV of the project went up.
But what was the reaction to that change of, what seemed like a change of strategy there?
Well, I mean, it was not perceived as good news. It certainly has introduced a delay into Addex receiving any downstream milestones.
Yeah.
I think the stock was certainly oversold on the news. But we're moving forward now. We've got backup compounds, and the project is going full steam ahead.
How important as a smaller company involved in that kind of partnership is the messaging that you have around those kind of events?
Yeah, I mean, as a smaller public company, I mean, you've got to do the best job you can to be transparent and give a balanced view when you communicate to the capital markets. And then the capital markets will react as they see fit to that news. I don't think there's much more we can do about that.
Great. And is there anything you learned from that scenario that you might apply to future partnerships or anything like that?
No, I think, the partnership is it's a very good deal. It had the research element to it, as well as the lead asset. And I think, attrition is the industry. It's part of being in this industry. So I don't think we would have reorganised the collaboration in any other way. We wouldn't have changed it.
When you look at Addex as a whole, then what's the long-term vision you have for the business? Where do you want to see it heading?
Well, we are, I would say, a leader in the allosteric modulator discovery space. So our ambition is really to build a sustainable pharmaceutical business around allosteric modulators. We will advance our portfolio the best as we can, and we will partner along the way. And that's really the vision, is around sustainability in the long term.
And what should we all be watching out for then? What's the next big thing for Addex?
Well, I think we're certainly, as I said, open to partnerships. So, we're having a number of discussions around some of the earlier programs. We're also advancing the portfolio, and in particular dipraglurant. So the start of dipraglurant in phase 3 is certainly going to be a big event for the company.
So watch the space.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, lovely to speak to you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Pleasure.